All right, ladies, this video is for all of you out there who are banging your head against the wall because you cannot lose the weight, especially for those of you who feel like you are doing everything right, you're following a healthy diet, and you still cannot release the fat. You still can't lose the weight. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to start off by saying that I remind most women that a healthy diet is not necessarily a fat loss diet, and even a keto diet is not necessarily a fat loss diet. And so that is one of the main misconceptions out there that kind of get us stuck. And when we reach the perimenopausal age and beyond, the first thing that we like to focus on when we're struggling to lose weight is, well, it must be my sex hormones. It must be my estrogen or my progesterone or even my thyroid that's causing the problem. And yes, while those hormones do play an important part in your metabolism and your weight loss, it's not near as big of an impact on your weight as the hormone that I'm going to talk about today, which is insulin. And insulin is our fat storage hormone, and many of you already know that. But many people out there, when they hear the word insulin, they kind of glaze over because they feel like, well, that's something that just diabetics struggle with, or that's something that my doctor would have told me about if I had an insulin problem. And the truth is that many women, or most women who have weight loss resistance, have an insulin problem and they don't even know it, especially if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, 50, 75, 100 pounds, you're absolutely insulin resistant, and that's one of the main things that is keeping you stuck. So that is what I want to focus on today. I made a little graph that represents a lot of kind of a typical client that comes to me. And this particular client that I'm going to talk about is a healthy eater and really frustrated as to why their body won't release the fat. So this graph here, this red bar represents your fat burning zone. And this black line represents insulin. And anytime insulin is floating around in our blood in too high of amounts, it locks any sort of weight loss or fat burning. So, and also the other thing too is anytime you put any calories in your mouth, even if it's healthy or even if it's keto, you're going to raise insulin. Now, sugar and carbs obviously are going to raise insulin a lot more, but all in all, you're still going to have some sort of insulin release anytime you eat something. So what we ideally want is we want the insulin to dip down into where we want the insulin to get low enough where it dips down into this fat burning mode. And this represents, we'll just start the day here. This represents your insulin when you wake up in the morning. And it's pretty low. It's not quite low enough to be in the fat burning zone, but it's pretty low because you've been fasting all night. And the first thing that we do when we get up is we have breakfast. And you may go to Starbucks and have your skinny fat-free latte, or maybe you have a bulletproof coffee, but you're still gonna raise insulin. And then mid-morning, just as your insulin starts to dip, as your glucose starts to dip, you get a bit closer into that fat burning mode, you start to get hunger, you start to get cravings, you start to think that your blood sugar is dropping, even though it's not. And so you gravitate towards a mid-morning snack. Maybe it's like a couple handfuls of almonds, which are still healthy, but you're still getting that insulin and glucose release. And then as things start to fall, you get hungry, you have cravings, and so you have a lunch. And maybe it's a salad with salmon. It's still healthy, but you're still getting that raise again. And then you have your mid-afternoon snack, and it might be a keto snack. Maybe it's a fat bomb or a keto bar of some sort. And then it starts to fall, it starts to get closer to that fat burning zone, and just when it starts to get close to fat burning zone, you have your dinner at night, which once again might be healthy, but all in all, you just spent your entire day being healthy and you never did get into that fat burning zone. This particular woman only ate 1,500 calories that day. She constantly struggled with hunger and cravings and mood swings because she felt like her blood sugar was dropping. And the end result was zero weight loss. This woman did this day after day after day, week after week, and you can kind of see now why you're frustrated, why this woman was frustrated going through this pain and suffering, and the end result was no weight loss. And so a lot of you can hang on for a couple weeks or a few months like this even maybe, and then you will kind of throw in the towel and eat whatever because you're so frustrated. This is what kept me stuck for years. Once I figured out this insulin problem, I immediately dropped 40 pounds. So it's just a matter of focusing on the insulin. Like I said, I wanted to focus on my thyroid and I wanted to focus on my sex hormones and take all the fancy supplements, hoping that that would work. And you know, to turn your cheek to the whole idea of insulin is really, really doing you a disservice. So what do you do if this is you? Well, that is where I come in, and that is where I help you look at your individual physiology, your food preferences, your lifestyle. Maybe your emotional eating is the thing that's kind of keeping your insulin too high. So I look at all of that. It has to be an individual approach. There's not a cookie cutter approach to this. And my clients will be spending their time in this fat burning zone. And that is where I started spending a lot of my time, and that's how I lost all of my weight. And so, you know, focusing, like I said, focusing on supplements will not fix this. Focusing on bioidentical hormones will not fix this. You know, trying some fancy new diet will not fix this. And a lot of times we gravitate towards those things, those tangible things, those supplements, but that is really what's keeping you stuck. So that's the main thing that I wanted to get across today, and I hope that sheds some light on what most likely is going on with you. And can you imagine, so many of you out there aren't eating healthy. Many of you out there are eating like a standard American diet, and you're eating a lot more carbs and sugar than this person did. So can you imagine how high your insulin levels are if you are eating like a standard American diet? You're not down here when you wake up in the morning. Trust me, you're way up here. And for those of you who are insulin resistant, who have a lot of weight to lose, those of you out there who are really relying on sugar every single day, you are constantly you're off the page. Your insulin's off the page. You are so far from this fat burning zone. And so that is, that's what's keeping you stuck, is you don't realize how far your insulin is away from that fat burning zone. But don't worry, I will get you there. All of my clients get into the fat burning zone. So that's not going to be a problem, I promise. But anyway, let me know if you have questions. Comment below this video. If you're interested in working with me, reach out to me, and I would love to help you out. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.